Assalamu alaikum. How are you, everybody? So, I'm alive and I'm live. Did you get that? And I have some non alcoholic 0% beer. Well, it's not beer, grape. And after some time, I'd like to do a live stream. So, hopefully, somebody will show up. I know I scheduled it for 6 p.m., but I had to reschedule. So, it's 9:20 in Central Europe. So let's see if somebody stops by. Oops. And here we go. Bottoms up. Oh, I see someone's here. Nice. Assalamu alaikum. So before we dive into this, the stream is called Can Muslims Keep Their Faith and Islam while living in a more extremely liberalized world? Year after year, and day after day, it's getting more and more. So this is the theme, this is the topic. It's gonna get ugly, it's gonna get to the politics probably, but I just want to guys, do some dhikr. Don't forget Allah. don't forget don't forget your deen. Let me know what's been up with you for the past week. So something I want to recommend if you have time, I mean, it's this book, The Venture of Islam. I've started to read this after 1 year. So I bought this book 1 year ago, and I just picked it up right now. It's pretty cool because it gives you the understanding of the history of Islam, especially when it comes to the 15th and 16th century. And basically, I'm highlighting certain parts when it comes to how, for example, Shiaism developed and the conquest and what they did and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see. So even some maps. So if you're into history, check it out. This is the third volume. The guy who wrote it, I think he's like he's not really a Muslim, but he's a historian, and but it's really cool. It's a really cool book. Anyways, why am I saying all that? So welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. How's your week? How's everything going? Is it too late where you are? Because in Europe it's 9:24. Just prayed Maghrib, and yeah, it's been an interesting week. So I had this thing on my mind about Muslims keeping their faith and everything, because after I've realized, after I've studied, let's say not studied, after I've looked into many topics within Islam, many topics within Dawah that I'd like to focus on. Because if you don't know, I want to announce that I have finished building of the website. Check it out, guys. Go here. I'm gonna post a comment. Tawheed.sk. It's for Slovak Muslims, and basically I filmed videos with how to do wudu, how to pray, how to do all that stuff with a friend who's like more Muslim than me. Like, he's been on the team for much more, and I've built this site. So if you know someone who's Slovak or Czech and they struggle with something, just send them this site. It's really cool. So yeah, we just finished it, so I'm very happy about that. But anyways, I've noticed, because I'm gonna start looking into Dawah now more, not just here on YouTube in English, but more in my own language. And every let's say issue that comes up goes back to liberalism. By liberalism, you can mean many things. Let's say atheism is a subset of liberalism. Technological progress is kind of a subset of liberalism. You have rejection of culture or tradition as a subset of liberalism. And I've obviously I've watched many videos on this issue. I mean, many people talk about this in Muslim Islamic Dawah, but I think this point is really important. And why? Because people have been programmed, or I don't know, brainwashed in this liberal mindset. And so anything you say about Islam that's kind of slightly controversial. For example, the killing of the Jewish tribe, 600 men, or anything like Aisha, or anything like that, it will trigger slavery. It will trigger a reaction in a liberal mind, and it's a barrier you can't simply explain logically. It doesn't allow you to build a good conversation, because they simply just, at that point when they hear the word slavery or anything like that, uh, they just kind of check out. And in order, because I had a liberal mind, so I know how it works. In order for that to be removed, you need to not attack, but you need to destroy the idea behind this. And the idea is this liberal idea. And liberalism, technically, it is, liberalism in itself is a political system. There is no other liberalism in this world. It's only political. It doesn't exist in any other form. And so we need to really show people what they believe in. Because, for example, this week, by the way, Assalamu alaikum, Yasin. How are you? How's everything in Brussels? 2 a.m. in Indonesia. It's crazy. Walaikum salam. Salam, priest from Morocco. Beautiful country. Would love to go there. Walaikum salam. And so, what was I saying? Yeah, I have worked for a mayor of a major city in the past. I used to be an assistant. I used to be like in politics. And I would be an assistant to this guy who's now running like a big portion of the country. He's like really famous. And we are friends on Facebook. And he said, I'm a liberal Christian. He posted a picture with his kid getting this thing that happens around the age of 8 or 9, where you go to church and you get this, how do I call this? It's called prvé sveté príjmanie in Slovak. It's like a ceremony you do as a Christian. Anyways, it's kind of like baptism, but the next level. And I said to him, like, there isn't a liberal Christian. It doesn't exist. You're either a liberal or a Christian. So at some point, one of those ideals will, let's say, be more powerful. So, for example, I asked, what about the abortion? Do you think it's liberal, or the Christian view is the correct? And of course, the liberal view is correct in his sense. And so, of course, he's not a Christian. He's not a Christian, he's a liberal. He's a liberal Christian. And so you have to realize the only type of Christianity, the only type of Islam, the only type of any religion that is allowed in Europe under the banner of religious freedom is liberal Christianity, liberal Islam. Because if you were to look into the real teachings of Christianity or the real teachings of Islam, you would have a conflict between these ideas. And by ignoring these issues, it doesn't do any justice to this world. So I think we should recognize the problems, and they don't want to recognize these issues. They think the system is superior, liberal system is superior to anything that exists. And so under that, you can imagine also democracy, all these things. Now, this is too political. But the thing is, it's getting everywhere. So now, no matter if you live in Europe, US, Asia, Middle East, even in a Muslim country like Turkey or Bosnia, it's all liberalizing. And so with time, in my humble opinion, I don't think I think Islam is the last straw, but I think there is nothing left from Christianity in a couple of decades, at least in Europe. Because, for example, the entire country has liberalized. This one, Czech Republic, 70 or 80% atheists, something like that. Where are those millions of Christians? They didn't get killed, they secularized. Same happened in Slovakia recently. After 10 years, they did a poll, 300,000 Catholics. Where are they? They are somewhere. So all of them transferred to atheism and liberalism. And it's all because of this idea that, just do what you want until you harm someone else, unless you harm someone else, and everything can go. And religion just restricts your freedom. So I think that's the key, but I'm going to stop talking now and check some of the comments because maybe I'm overthinking it. Did you watch Hamza Yusuf and Jordan Peterson discussion? I have watched it and I really enjoyed it because, first of all, the reason I enjoyed it is because Hamza, wait, is his name Hamza Yusuf? Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, yeah, because he is a convert. Plus, he's a professor, plus, he's white. So that already ties him with Jordan much more closely than like Mohammed Hijab or the guy before that who did a podcast with him. Because it's a different thing when it comes from a convert's mind. And so I think it was very good because they are same age, same kind of mentality. So I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think it's gonna change many people's minds. And I've seen some articles online that say like, well, Peterson is still this liberal, classical or liberal Christian or whatever, not even Christian. But yeah, like you have to think about it. Like I was the same. Like the way you change somebody's identity is through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you can prove to someone, not prove, but demonstrate and connect them to Allah, none of their previous identities matter. So if somebody's Greenpeace, if somebody's Nazi, if somebody's communist, if somebody's liberal, if somebody's atheist, if somebody's Christian, if somebody's Buddhist, if somebody's Hindu, you might be like, why are you talking to this guy? What is it? Yeah, but dude, those ideas, they can be broken by Allah. So if this is the key, if you connect someone with Allah, if they finally understand who Allah is, and that they have a direct connection to them through prayer maybe, and even if they don't pray, they understand, they realize that Allah must exist. Like this world is impossible to exist without a creator. Once you get them into that point, it is much easier to justify or explain anything else because they have the connection to Allah. If they don't have this connection, everything else is going to be difficult to explain. And so I think it doesn't even make sense to, it does make sense to talk about Islam indirectly through like, how does Islam view this subject or banking or that? But most people don't care about this. But if you can, and if you have an opportunity to talk about Allah, that's kind of the baseline, because it kind of gives context to everything Muslim does. So that's it. Assalamu alaikum from Maldives. Man, that's crazy. Thank you so much. From Maldives. How insane is that? I would love to go there. I've heard Maldives is like 100% Muslim. Muslim keep the family unit intact for supporting each other. We are losing when Muslims are no different than others. There is US, there us and them anymore. Yeah, the family unit is important, but I think, I don't know. I think people need to realize and go back to their foundations, and strengthen their faith. Muslim or converts or born, doesn't matter. The converts do this, of course, naturally because they had to change their identity. But even born Muslims, they have this process. I had a coffee today with a friend who had to go through similar things from Algeria when he moved here. He had to rediscover his Islam. And I think it's crucial not to just accept whatever you've been told or whatever you've been raised at. And you might think, especially in Dawah, that you shouldn't look into philosophy and other things because they can decrease your iman or faith. And that's true, but essentially we're living in a world where you will be exposed to these things. If you don't talk about them, it will create shuhabat or these doubts. And so it's better to really have a comprehensive understanding of all these ideas if you can, and if you can handle it. Because either way, you're going to be exposed to them. If you don't know how to handle it, it's going to be a problem. And that's how I got introduced to Islam. Like if I stayed in my narrow Christian or narrow atheist view, I would never expand and look at Islam or Hinduism or this, because I would just be focused on that, because I don't want to change my identity. Like that sort of mindset is never healthy. And that's why it's important to understand the world we live in, especially if you live in the West. Like you will be exposed to this at school, everywhere. You can't hide in the box. It's impossible. Like you can't live like that. So if you're going to live here, you better get educated. If you're not going to live here, you're going to hide in somewhere in Mecca, then you're cool. Then you're cool. Anyways, that's my view. But what do you guys think is key to preserving the Muslim identity? Because from what I've seen, all other systems of life, all other ways of life, organizings of society fail. Now liberalism is on the rise, but all other systems. So, for example, communism, no one is doing that anymore. It doesn't even make sense. Socialism, there are some bits and pieces, but it's mixed up with liberalism, mixed up with other systems, and there's no purely socialistic ideas anymore. Those ideas are gone because they lead to communism. So people know that. And then we have ideas like we're mixing now economics, politics, and religion. So we're mixing ideas, but for example, pure capitalism, something like libertarianism, which is a complete freedom of the market, that will never happen, especially in Europe or Middle East, because we have social net that protects consumers. So I don't think that system is relevant for most people. And then we have like extreme views. So, for example, we have anarchy. That system is in itself self-destructive, and because it's not sustainable. So even if you live in anarchy for a while, you will want to organize at some point. That's it. You'll want to create a state and a law. So you have to do a social contract. It's inevitable. As a society, you will have to arrive to a point where you agree on a social contract, where you give up the freedom of the individual in exchange for protection or something. Now, the question is whether this is a state, a liberal state, modern state, or it's Islamic state, or what sort of engagement are you gonna do, Then if we look into what's conserving the ideas of human beings, it's religion and culture and tradition, nothing else. Because everything else, if you have a liberal framework, you can do anything. There's no off limit button besides something that harms other people. And so the only thing how you can conserve, let's say, principle of, let's say, Christians, they don't like abortion because it's ending the life and they know life is sacred. There's no way to explain this to a liberal because they don't agree with you, because you're creating harm to a woman. They don't agree that this baby is life, and that's it. Or homosexuality and all these things, those moral issues. The Christians have some foundation in the Bible, but the liberal mind doesn't acknowledge that. And so they're trying to conserve some values in society, but they're crumbling because Christians themselves are liberalizing. Just today, I've seen a Slovak priest, woman, who were given a prize for LG words and letters and articles. We all know the group, the LG guys, and it's been like and she got a prize for being an open-minded Christian priest because she married a gay couple, I think, in Slovakia. Subhanallah, this is a conservative country. I'm like, subhanallah. 10 years ago, my grandma would be furious, or a grandfather. Today, they're like, oh, it's okay. You see how crazy this is? And so Christians themselves cannot conserve the ideas. It's gonna get liberalized. They're gonna be wiped out, the Christian ideals, and Christianity will be just Jesus was all love. But today I was thinking about one thing. Like, imagine Europe before Jesus, like 2000 something years ago. Each of our countries had its own religion. So, for example, the Vikings had pagan Nordic religions. They had Lord Odin. They had these statues they worshipped. They had the All Father, They had all these things. Then you had old gods of Slavs, Slav gods, Slavic gods. And you had all these pagan gods all over Europe. Where are they today? They don't even exist. I can't find them. Why? Because Christians wiped them out. They literally wiped them out from the face of the earth. And if you look at the Muslim conquest in India or in Andalusia, where they were in power for 800 years or 1,000, the Hindus still have their own religion, and it's even bigger than Islam. Or in Andalusia, there's still more Christians than Muslims. So Muslims don't wipe out the native, even pagan or slightly pagan, let's say, religions. How crazy is that this happens? So you can see Christianity is by no means a peaceful religion if they get into the power, But the issue is Christians are never going to be in power again. Never. Because of theological issues, because of the drop in the conversion. So just saying that they were trying to conserve some ideals, but it's failing. So who do we have left? Well, we have the extreme far right. We have the Nazis, the skinheads, people who pretend to be nice, but they're in reality extremists. We have a lot of them in Europe, a lot of them. They hide behind the cross and Jesus and stuff, but they just want to destroy. And it's kind of a white supremacy idea, similar to sort of Trumpy vibes, but more extreme. We have a lot of these people, but they consist maybe of 10% of population at most. Because most people can recognize that this stuff is extreme and this guy doesn't represent us, even though they point out to a big problem in society. But, most people still have some, most people will not vote for them. So it's, again, this far right, extreme Nazi, fascism ideas will never be allowed in public, will never be allowed to come again, because it's simply forbidden by the state in this liberal world that I'm talking about. Maybe in Russia or in some places it could be. Anyways, so what do we have left? What's on the spectrum? Well, there's not much left, to be honest. There's only one thing left. That's Islam. That's Islam, because Islam is the political system and it's a religion. That's a problem. You cannot separate church and a state. You have to do both at the same time. Now, in this context where we are a minority, you cannot do the second part, the political. It's out, because you have to respect the laws of the land. But if Muslims get in power, and if there's a large volume of them, a large number, they will vote in Muslims and they'll want to do the Muslim stuff, and so that's what people are scared of. But they don't get what Muslim want. So this is the job of Dawah. Anyways, we don't want to kill people. We don't want to do any harm to anyone. We just want to bring people back to where they started, to revert, to help them realize that Allah exists. Anyways, but this is the only thing left. And Muslims are the most conservative people on this planet. Because you cannot conserve a Muslim, you cannot liberalize a Muslim unless he does kufr. So, for example, if you have a Muslim and the Muslim agrees that, I don't know, homosexuals can get married, or there can be like a gay imams or something like that, he's going against the teachings of the Quran. He's going against the consensus of the ulama. I mean, maybe he's a Muslim, but it's taking him out a few more steps and he's out of Islam, just kind of like on a theoretical basis. And so you have these issues because Islam is from Allah, Quran is from Allah. And so the only way you can actually destroy Islam is if you attack the kind of the things which are not liberal in Islam, as we discussed these issues with war or with Aisha and things like that. You create doubts in people's minds because Muslims are connected to Allah, and they know they can't remove this idea of one God because it's so powerful. This is the truth. How can you remove the truth from a heart? It's impossible. But what you can do is to make them doubt that this is somehow a complete word of God, and this passage here can be changed and stuff like that. And if you do that, well, then that's possible. But it's the most difficult system to liberalize because you have to attack You have to basically change people's minds, because Islam doesn't work like Christianity, where you can liberalize it and no one would notice it. Like, it's not going to happen like that. And so we're the last one standing. I mean, it sounds pretty doomy and gloomy and stuff like that. I mean, in a personal, individual life, I don't really think about it. I'm okay. But on a macro scale, I can see it, I can feel it, I can everywhere, and I go, I feel this invisible force of this modern nightmare of people just drowned in the dunya, and you're trying to hold on to your deen, but and it's possible, it's not impossible, but it's quite difficult, right? And so those are just my ideas. I think we need to strengthen ourselves because it's gonna get tougher. Because Christians, Jews, all of them are gonna go to liberalism. There's no way they're gonna survive. Their theology is too weak. So we are the only ones standing. And so imagine in a couple of years, let's say 20, 30 years from now, situation in Europe, 90% of population atheist, secular, whatever, and 10% Muslims. That's all. Those two are the only ones. And Muslims, just by birth rate, will be the biggest religion in Europe. By mile, Muslims will be the biggest religion in Europe. I think by 2050, they calculated Muslims will be the largest one. But Christianity keeps dropping heavily. So if Muslims keep the rates, they're going to be like that. But most Europeans will be secular by that point. So you'll have just two systems of life in the most developed countries in the world. Complete nihilistic atheism, secular, whatever, just transhumanism. And then Islam, complete opposite of this idea, like a complete submission to Allah, not your nafs, not your needs, not your desires. You'll have just these two systems in 20, 30 years from now. I know this. That's why I'm moving away to a small town because I don't want to live in big cities when everything else is gonna kind of crumble, and I don't want to, my family. I don't want to have them exposed to this, even though they will be. But it's interesting how that's gonna play out. You will have the most conservative people in the world, Muslims, covered, had to, burqa and stuff, and then you have like a complete liberal, completely strange human being. This is what I've seen in Berlin. Like, you have a neighborhood, Kreuzberg, and you have on one side transgender people. The next to them sit Muslims covered with niqab. Like, what? These people have a completely different view of the world. They live in the same neighborhood. So it's just interesting to see if they will be able to live alongside each other. The Orthodox Muslims, or let's say the practicing Muslims in Europe, and a completely atheistic society, and how that's going to play out. I mean, we already see it in some countries, like here in Czech. It is possible, but it's going to be very interesting because now people won't have alternatives. So those liberals who will see the problems with the way of life, and they'll be looking for other systems to follow, like red pill, and you have feminism, and these are subsets of liberalism, except red pill, of course. That's more on the far right, kind of like more extreme vibe. But those are just like movements of small number of people. But more, it would be cool because they would be exposed to Islam at some point, because they will see this is the last thing standing. Let me look into it. I don't know. I've been talking for a while, so let me know your thoughts. But just realize it's going to be Muslims and liberals. That's it. Christians are kind of going to be culturally, maybe weddings will be happening, funerals, but that's kind of it. How do you move on from your family? What do you mean by this? How do I move on from my family? My family is in Slovakia, so I'm moving back actually. I've been living for since 18. So how much is that? 30, 12 years I've been living alone without my family. So I'm quite used to it. You're making me thirsty. Sorry, bro. Walaikum salam. How's the dawah to family going? It's difficult, you know. Like, I don't know if you guys know Abdul Rahman Green, or what's his name? Abdul something. He's the founder of IRA. And I watched his video about dawah to his father. And he's been giving him dawah for 25 years. And he refused every example of dawah. And only on his deathbed, he did shahada and he recorded it. And he did some dhikr and then he died. And it was like, subhanallah, you never know. You know, I'm gonna try until the last breath, but you gotta be, you gotta want Allah more than anything in this world. That's when you get Allah. You have a choice in your life always. Do I watch porn or do I keep on the straight path? You always have this choice. And sometimes you fail, sometimes you don't, but you need to pick Allah always. And you have that ability. And so they just need to open themselves up to that possibility. Once they open themselves up, it's pretty straightforward. But the dawah is slow as it is, but that's what it is. Walaikum salam. Mariam, nice name. Alphabet gang, 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 gang. The Muslims community must stay attracted to the young generation. They have to leave in extremism. Must they have to prime multiple activities? Yeah, depends on where you are. For example, we don't have a mosque, we don't have nothing, but we have the truth, we have the haqq. So it's all about delivery and distribution of your idea and being smart and creative with dawah. There's many great dawah examples which you can look at. And so it's all it takes is just inspiration from other countries. I think we're missing one thing, like a Dawah conference where, let's say, from each country, there would be Dawah guys coming to the conference and sharing case studies about what worked, what didn't, to exchange ideas how to do Dawah. You know, like I think we have something online, but I've never seen just a conference focus on Dawah and what examples, like marketing conference. You know, this is how I think. Will you invite the Estonian and Lithuanian Revert brothers? Uh, you know, maybe, but I'm just kind of short on time. I'll. It's just I don't have any topic. You know, I don't like to just talk about like revert stories and stuff. I mean, it's good, but you can hear about it on their channel. So maybe it's if we have a topic, right? Like I did with the Think Revert, where it's like Islam in the workplace, what to do. That's interesting. So something like that could be nice. That's why they're trying to destroy Islam. Um, well, the thing is, they must try to destroy Islam. I was trying to destroy Islam as a liberal because it's against liberalism. So it's not just like it's for liberals. Islam is just another system. It's like Christianity, Islam. They don't see a difference. They just want to destroy anything. So don't think about this like, oh, everybody's against Islam. No, everybody's against any old cultural system of thoughts, values, ideas. So Islam is one of them, but don't think like the whole world is against Islam. No one thinks about Islam that much. Like people here don't even know what Islam is. They just want to get rid of it. They don't want it here because they know it's a different way of life. So uh, it's just let's not think about us like everybody thinks of Islam. No, people don't think about Islam if they're not Muslim. But they just don't want it. And it's because it's in conflict with the main theory. Yeah. Anti-Muslim politic. I mean, I don't know, man. There's many reasons for this. Um, And I'm not gonna get into that because I don't know them. But I think Muslims are also to blame. We are to blame. We have too much internal conflict. Like it doesn't make sense. Like I can see it in one thing. Very simple question. When I converted to Islam, what sect did I convert to? I don't even know. Because no one tells you nothing. You just say Shahada, you five pillars, six of that, and that's it. But what kind of Muslim are you? Then they start asking, what are you? Well, I don't know. What is this? And then you find out there's this hundreds of sects, and I'm like, what? This is nonsense. What's the correct one? And then you realize, oh, it's the Quran and Sunnah based on the understanding of the Prophet and the early generations. Oh, okay. But it's like, what is all this nonsense? And so we have too much internal conflicts. Like even if non-Muslims leave you alone, you will have Shia, Sunni, you have this and that. Just, just. I know we must come together. I know there's conflict, obviously, sometimes, but we can't just blame also the liberals. We have internally Muslims can't handle themselves. Internally, Muslims have struggles since the beginning. There have been wars between Muslims. How insane is that, right? So it's kind of crazy. 10% is good. Muslims in, yeah, it's quite healthy. They use this one to be wealthy. Poor people don't know what they're doing. Abdul Rahim Green, yes, that's him. In many Muslim cultures, we live with our parents. Yeah, I can't imagine that. This is how my European mindset is like. I can't imagine this. I can imagine deciding the spouse, but I can't imagine living with my parents because I don't have my parents. Like my father wasn't like he's not my father really. Like I have a very bad. I'm not. I shouldn't even talk about this, but I have like two, like one real father, one other. So then I have a mother, but like I don't have a normal family unit as you have as a Muslim. Plus they are non-Muslim and Jahils. So how could I live with them? It's not like a Muslim. If I had a Muslim parents, like I want my kids to live with me, it's cool. I want to decide for my children their uh, partners. It would be cool because I'm a Muslim, because I have values. I know what's good, what's bad. But this in living with your parents in a secular world is kind of a crazy idea. Well, normal education like elementary school, high school, and if they want, they can go to university, I guess, depending on what they want to do, what kind of talent they have. So I'm never gonna force anything on anyone because it doesn't make sense to force kids into like you need to be a doctor or this. I didn't listen to that, so I know my kids want. So whatever they want to do. Like if they want to paint, they can paint. If they want to be a doctor, they can be a doctor. If they don't want to do anything and they want to work in the factory, they can do that. I'm gonna support them somehow. Walaikum salam. Jordan B. Pearson and Hamza Yusuf, what's your opinion? I was talking about it. It was pretty cool. It's your favorite Muslim country? Well, I haven't been to many, so I love Turkey. I love Turkey. But I love Bosnia as well. I love Bosnia as well. So I don't know. All Muslim countries are cool to me. If I was in a Muslim country as a non-Muslim, I wouldn't like them. I would just look at like the nature and stuff. But since I have a connection to Islam, it's a completely different experience when I go to a Muslim country. So all of them are my favorite. The best Dawah is to have a successful community with a great education, a great family. Inshallah. This is what I'm saying. Like, you know, We have a successful community, great education, family values, work ethic, business success. People want to follow that. Yeah, so I just want to create a man that I always admired to be. So like in the past, I used to think somebody will save me from the depression I was in when I was a teenager with no father or nothing. I was like really had some crime problems and stuff. And there was no role model for me. There was nothing. I was lost, complete jahil, lost in drugs, but lost in the mind. I didn't have anyone, imagine no one to kind of give you direction. And then I realized like, oh, when I was like older, a few years back, like, oh, I need to be that guy for myself. Like I need to create the man I always wanted to save me. I need to be that guy. So I need to look good. I need to be like, I need to lose all the weight. I need to be like ripped. Not just because I want to look good, but I want to like, when people see me, they see like, oh, this guy, he takes care of himself. Subhanallah. Then I need to make money because I need to like, and not from a, like some egotistical point of view, but just like I need to take care of myself. I don't want to depend on anyone. And now I add to that no riba, no nothing. And subhanallah, inshallah, I just bought the biggest property of my life. And it's a dream. Like 3 years ago, I would be looking at this like a dream, but it happened. And education and business and all that, So I'm still building myself up. I still haven't finished. But that's kind of how I look at that. Like, no one's going to save you. No one's going to save me. You have to save yourself. So just be the man you want to be. And Islam is the best way to follow because it gives you the guidance for everything. And you need to look good in Islam. You need to have physical also strength. You need to be smart. You need to make money as well. Like if you have the capacity, capability to do so. So it's a man's thing to be a Muslim because you're self-improving all the time. Plus spiritually you're growing, So it's perfect. Very good. Do you like populating, hustling, bustling places? Like what? Like Pakistan or quite less popular like Bosnia? Oh, definitely quite less. I don't like many people. So I wouldn't enjoy Pakistan or Egypt, I think. Yeah. So I like less population. I like villages and stuff like that. Anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. This week I'm gonna release many videos from traveling in Bosnia. So I'm excited for that. And I'm just happy I finished the website, stuff like that. Have you visited Malaysia? Not yet. Maybe in the future, inshallah. I wanted to, but it was COVID and stuff. But thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully we can catch up some other time. I have 3 weeks left in Prague, and then I'm off to Slovakia, the land of Catholics on paper. So we'll see how life gets there. And if it's really horrible, I'm doing some hijrah. We'll see. All right, guys. Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Assalamu alaikum. And just stay on the right path. Just keep it going. Don't forget that Allah sees everything you do. At any moment, you can decide whether to go back to Allah or whether to disobey. So choose the right thing and never forget that you are the creation of Allah. You depend on Him. He doesn't depend on you. And you'll either way you can run. Like there's a hadith I think it says like run, and where will you go? You're always running towards Allah. So just make your peace with that and follow the sunnah, and that's it. It's my advice. Assalamu alaikum.